I'm so tired of being strong all the time.
Yeah.
And it's when people tell me, you don't have to be strong, and I'm like, okay, but when I'm not, look at what happens.
Right.
Like, things fall apart.
I think you speak a lot to like the role of Black women, like that we're allowed to play, right? Like the helper, the fixer, the saver, the strong one. And like it does take a toll. So I resonated with like a lot of what you just said, because I feel like for a while I positioned myself as the fixer, right? And then like through therapy, she was like, Sade, you don't need to do that, because guess what? Didn't nobody ask for that? And I was like, what you mean? But they need me. No, they don't. They'll be quite all right. I'm like, what are you talking about, right? And this was recently, and like just shifting from like not always volunteering to help and fix and do all these things, and just like she said, she's like, Sade, stay in your lane and mind your business. I'm like, well, why don't you mind your business? But she was right though.
Yeah.
And I think that like part of that has also forced me to think about the ways that I've like accepted some of those roles and have been comfortable in those roles. And also grapple with what parts of vulnerability have been uncomfortable for me. And then attached to that is like, how is vulnerability, how has it been extremely liberating for me as well? So it's just so much to balance, because I think like these roles don't allow Black women to show up as soft when we want to be soft. And I think that's part of what vulnerability is about, and reclaiming our narrative.
So I'm a global public health minor, and what we're talking about now is maternal mortality, and specifically just how Black women die at, I think, triple or quadruple the rate that white women do when giving birth. And it just goes back to you having to be your own advocate, because, you know, if you sit back and rest, then, you know, they're not going to fight for you. You have to always be the one to fight for yourself. And so I think part of that kind of comes off as the strong, independent Black woman, because we have to be that way. And it's just so sad to think that even in a case like when it's supposed to be the happiest moment of your life, giving birth, but you still have to always fight. And it's just really sad to see that.
Exactly what you just mentioned is part of why I decided to become a doula, because like seeing like these alarming rates, but also my own experience preparing for birth was also part like preparing to die, right? Because I knew what the realities were like for Black women going into a hospital. And it's not anything inherently wrong with Black women that's resulting in our death, but the idea that folks in the medical space still hold these beliefs that Black women feel less pain, right? And that, you know, for Black women, you need to listen to the authority, that's the doctor, and it's killing us at alarming rates, especially in a developed nation, right? So I think like part of that is also connected to this piece of like, again, not being seen as fully human. And there were even studies done that you know, reflect that a lot of physicians still hold the idea that Black folks have literally thicker skin, right? Like, you know, it's just all of these things that show up as like the legacy of enslavement shows up still today. And I think what you just spoke to speaks to that.
My mom actually, when she was having me, she didn't even find out until after she was birth. She had pneumonia while she was having me. And after giving birth to me, she turned to the doctor and was like, I cannot breathe. And he was like, you're fine, like just breathe. You're probably just having a panic attack. And she was like, but I physically cannot breathe. Like I can't, like my lungs are maybe doing this. She was like, they're not expanding. And he was like, no, you're fine. And hours later, at this point, she's hyperventilating. My grandma's calling, someone please help. The doctor's like, she's fine. She had, I think she said the woman was Haitian. Haitianers come in and be like, you have to fight. Your child is here, you have to fight. I'm gonna try my best to tell the doctor. She had pneumonia. She had maybe this much left in her lungs to breathe.
Oh my God.
Like, she was like, she never stops reminding me about like, I almost died for you. Yeah. And but it's like, you shouldn't have had to do that to give birth to your child in a healthy and safe way in one of the top hospitals in the country. You should not have had to do that.
So at what point did y'all decide that as Black women, like we don't actually know and understand what's happening in our bodies? Right. We may not have the medical training, but if I'm telling you I cannot breathe, that means something, right? If I'm telling you that I'm experiencing this swelling, my blood pressure is high, and I have a headache and blurred vision, maybe you should pay attention to that. Right.
I think that all these experiences that you guys have talked about show like the internalized, like, I'm fine, like the fight or flight that comes up just being a Black person, being a Black woman. Like, if you're not fine, then you're aggressive for responding to the way that you're feeling. So we internalize the fact that we have to be fine and we have to be strong for ourselves, that the minute we break just a little bit, it's seen as aggressive, or she's doing too much, or she's too emotional. when all that we are is just not okay. Like, it's okay
Right.
to not be okay as a black person, just like it's okay to not be okay as a white person or another, or as a man even.